Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you doing today? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater, and welcome to the first pseudo-revamped daily news show. Now, if you follow the channel, you know I tend to do about 3 videos a day, 3 individual news stories a day, and I'm not going to lie, not generally a big fan of that. There's a lot of things I cover that doesn't really need to be a video. There's a lot of things I don't cover that doesn't really need to be a video. And I really want to develop a community with you guys who watch on a daily basis, because you guys are fantastic. You guys hang out with me every day. We talk about movies, and I want to sort of condense certain things in my daily schedule so that I'm able to focus on other things. If you've been noticing, I've been doing a few more deep dives into movies, maybe why they fail or what happens to them, or just kind of breakdowns or discussions or things like that. And those videos are a lot of fun to make, but I always feel like I'm racing against the clock, if you will, and then I never want to act like I'm over hitting you guys with too much content, you know? So I figure let's try this for a while, see how it works. And the inevitable goal is to get enough via Patreon, Patreon support, in order to be able to do this as a live stream every day, Monday through Friday. That is my inevitable goal, because I love what I do. I think you guys are a fantastic community here on the channel, and I'd love to be able to provide that style of entertainment because it suits me a lot, the way that I think, the way that I operate. And I just want to make that, put that out there into the ether. Just as a quick note, even though this will probably be a Monday to Friday show as well, starting next week and then going through the following week, it's probably not going to be me on camera. I'm still going to do it to the best of my ability. I have to travel. I'll be going to San Diego Comic-Con, and as well as VidCon and Galaxy's Edge. So I'm doing this big trip down to Southern California, where I'm gonna get a lot of coverage, a lot of footage for not only this channel, but a sister channel called Wheelman, which I'll be unveiling fully here in a little bit. And that's kind of my 2019 latter half plans. So it's going to be a big, full, fun year. That on top of having my second daughter in a month from Friday is, again, it's going to be something that is going to be very interesting to be a full-time content creator and have kids that are under the age of 2, and 2 of them that I'm going to be the full-time provider for in the day. So that's why things have to also be consolidated so I can get through them in naps. A lot of the show will be done during nap time. So there's that. I just want to get that out of the way first and foremost. So the big news of the day, what just broke a little bit ago, actually happens to be that Disney has announced that they have found Ariel in The Little Mermaid, and I will fully admit I was wrong with who I picked. I had said early on when they had discussed the concept, there was the reports, I should say, that Melissa McCarthy was going to come out as Ursula, that they should just cast Zendaya in the role. Coming off of the heat that is Spider-Man Far From Home, you figure that would be a good call. Plus, we've already seen her with red hair, and it just felt like that was what they were going for. But no, they've actually chosen someone else entirely, and it's going to be interesting. Disney finds Little Mermaid star and singer Halle Bailey. And a lot of people, because of her name being Halle Bailey, have thought that she was Halle Berry. And I've seen a lot of confused tweets saying, isn't she too old to play the role? And I'm like, if you've seen John Wick, you tell me, is she too old to play the role? So it says Rob Marshall will direct the live action musical. Singer actress Halle Berry. See, Halle Berry, that's again, that's what's going to screw them in regards to the wider audience hearing her name as being Halle Bailey. That's going to screw up so many people. Like, honestly, you want my honest opinion on this one? If you're looking for name brand recognition for who's going to be the star in The Little Mermaid, picking somebody with that is literally super close to another iconic name is not a very good idea. Now, Bailey, who with her sister forms R&B duo Chloe X Halle, has nabbed the starring role for Disney's live action remake and will play the role of Ariel, the rebellious daughter of King Triton, who longs to live on dry land. We all know the story, but the reason why they chose her is predominantly because of her voice. I think Zendaya can sing, But I guarantee you she was in the running. Everyone was talking about it. I guarantee you she was in the running. But ultimately, no, it's going to be Halle Bailey. So I'll make sure I say that correctly. Now, the decision was made today with the budding actress notified later this morning. So right now, the casting is up with Melissa McCarthy, Jacob Tremblay, and Awkwafina, and talks to star. Apparently, Awkwafina is going to play Scuttle. That's what I've been hearing. Although, if you want my honest opinion, I think Jacob Tremblay would probably be a better Scuttle. Awkwafina is probably going to be the Seagull. It just makes the most sense to me. It really does make the most sense. So this is coming from Rob Marshall, who just did Mary Poppins Returns, that not a lot of people saw, and it was kind of it came and went. Let's be fair. Mary Poppins Returns came and went, but after the success of Aladdin, they are clearly wanting this to be a big thing. And also diversity is a very big part of that. So it says here, after an extensive search, it was abundantly clear that Halle possesses that rare combination of spirit, heart, youth, innocence, and substance, plus a glorious singing voice. And this comes from Rob Marshall in a statement. And the movie is going to go into production next year, clearly looking for a 2021 release. And here's the biggest issue with that, from what I can tell. The biggest issue with that ultimately is going to be the casting choice. It could be too diverse for some people. Ariel, Cinderella, Beauty. Look, let's be fair. They cast it's white stories. And in the case of Aladdin, nearing that, $900 million market, could cross $1 billion, having a very diverse cast in a lead, and they probably are thinking to themselves, well, we can do that here, because why are mermaids white? I mean, well, look, okay, we could talk about the obvious, like if they're under the ocean, they're not getting sunlight, therefore the melanin in their skin doesn't have the chance to do anything. So they're pretty pigmented. And so, like you could almost argue that, predominantly speaking, any mermaids are probably going to end up looking more like very odd albino-esque creatures, because there's no pigment in their skin, because of no sunlight. There's that as well. But no, I am a little bit worried that a lot of people are going to start attacking this movie as being that type of thing, simply because they cast an African-American actress in the lead role. The hot takes are going to be very fascinating as time goes on, and I'm not entirely too sure how that's going to play out, if you want my honest opinion. I don't know who she is. I don't know any of her work. I'm not really interested in a live action remake of Little Mermaid, so this movie is of zero consequence to me personally. It could be good. It could be bad. If Mary Poppins Returns is anything to go off of in regards to the directorial abilities, I almost want to see this movie handed over to Guy Ritchie, because that movie pulled out far more money than Mary Poppins did. Now, jumping over to the next story here. Tonight, midnight, 8 hours from now, we have got the release of Stranger Things 3, Stranger Things Season 3. I don't know about you, man. I'm hype AF. I can't wait to watch it. I'm going to have to really decide if I want to dive in tonight or spend all day tomorrow going through what is being touted as being one 8-hour-long summer blockbuster. That's one of the things I heard. I'm very excited to see where it goes. But one of the interesting things that popped up is this article over on Vox titled "Why Stranger Things is Perfect for Product Promo." And that's actually a big part of this franchise, because it goes back to the 80s and it deals with all those, all of those things, the nostalgia. And it's the most popular show on Netflix, basically at that point, meaning it's the most popular show in streaming. So a lot of companies are going to want to try to find a way to merge it all together in regards to marketing and promotion. I mean, Baskin-Robbins has got 2 different Stranger Things flavors, and all the employees right now are wearing Scoops Ahoy t-shirt, or whatever that, company is that Steve Barrington's going to be working at the mall in this particular season. So there's nothing against it. But apparently there's a Coca-Cola themed, or a Coca-Cola product placed plot device in the film. I'm not kidding you. According to this article, it says here, this year in Hawkins is 1985, which happens to be the year of the doomed new Coke, the reformulation of classic Coca-Cola that was so reviled by customers that it lasted only 79 days in stores. Coca-Cola is working with Netflix to help make this a core plot point of the new season and will in tandem sell 500,000 limited edition cans of new Coke, as well as a new Coke throwback collection of limited edition apparel. Saying here, Coca-Cola's partnership with Netflix as part of Stranger Things 3 gives us a chance to be part of one of summer's most anticipated pop culture moments, and to do something truly daring and unexpected to transport people back to 1985. Yeah, like, here's the thing. I was 3 years old when New Coke was a thing, but you still hear about it in regards to the hall of famed failures. New Coke is a big one, you know, New Coke is a terrible one. And bringing it back and tying it into Stranger Things and then re-releasing New Coke, hoping to make it popular again because of nostalgia, is a bold move, if I'm being honest. Not the worst move in the world. It's a bold move for certain. So I'm definitely curious to see what's going to happen with it, where things are going to go, and whether or not I'll be able to get my hands on a can, because apparently they're only re-releasing like 500,000 units. And every time they do this kind of thing, because of the popularity, because of the nostalgia, people are going to buy it up, and they're going to very much just resell that crap on eBay. Kind of like when Fallout 4 came out and Jones Soda released Nuka-Cola to Targets, but some stores only got 6 bottles of Nuka-Cola, and it was a massive failure on their part. But then again, if you follow anything to do with with Fallout, you know how much of that's kind of a failure right now. Anyway, jumping over here, Harry Potter is back in the stories, not for what you might think, apparently, and this is something I missed earlier in the week, but according to this article on Mental Floss, that Harry Potter TV series you've heard about, J.K. Rowling's rep says it's not happening. I didn't hear about that at all. I did not hear about about there being a Harry Potter TV series for Warner Media. However, it makes perfect sense. But we'll talk about that here in a second. Now, it goes on to say, upon hearing a report earlier this week that Warner Brothers was apparently planning a Harry Potter TV series set at Hogwarts and featuring an all-new cast of characters, some Potterheads may have been a little suspicious. Author J.K. Rowling has dismissed the idea, saying that a TV show would be coming right after the opera Potter on Ice and the interpretive dance version of Beedle the Bard, hashtag not actually happening. So we're not sure how much we could believe from just one source. Going on to say, good thing we didn't get our hopes up too much, because the whole thing has just been debunked. Hypable reached out to Rowling's reps, who confirmed there are no plans to develop Harry Potter stories into a TV series. Any reports are purely speculative. And yeah, that makes a lot of sense considering. All right, it does. It makes a lot of sense considering just where the series is at right now. So we have the 8 films, right? And the last one came out 8 years ago, which is super weird to think about that it was 8 years ago, but it was. So 8 years ago is when that one came out. And then what we're seeing here is a situation where you've got the movies, the new films, the Fantastic Beasts, which are not doing well. The first movie underperformed. The second movie did a little bit better, but the script problems were pretty terrible, and everyone knew who to blame for that. That would be Rowling herself, or Rowling. I don't know. I'm probably going to get corrected for how I pronounced it in the chat anyway. So you've got that as a problem. You've got that as a situation. And but I personally think that they should, when they finish the new films, when they finish up the 5 of them, so they got 3 more to go, and they will see it to the end. It's already the new Wizarding World or whatever, Wizards Unite, that new app came out. That's going to reinvigorate Potterheads to jump back on board, although they should have released it closer to the release of the new film and tied it together, and the fact that they didn't was really dumb, because it was originally intended to do that. But let's be fair here. Let's be real. When you look at Harry Potter, where does Harry Potter as a whole feel better as an adaptation? HBO, Warner Media, cable, streaming. You pick a core set of kids and you put them on a 7-year TV series going through Harry Potter, the definitive adaptation where they could fill a whole season in 10 episodes once per year, and you will have probably one of the hottest shows on TV. You think Stranger Things is big? Do an actual adaptation, a solid, none of this Prisoner of Azkaban changing things around, none of this Goblet of Fire changing things around. All right, they really screwed the pooch on those films. Even though Azkaban was a well-directed movie, scripting was all over the place, and Goblet of Fire just kind of said to the whole thing. But you put that on HBO or Warner Media, and I guarantee you that's what we're going to get. Warner Media right now, look, they just greenlit. They have the Dune series. They've got the Gremlins series coming. Harry Potter would be the creme de la creme of properties that they have that could be adapted into being a series. Whether or not J.K. Rowling wants to actually allow that to happen, I don't know what the current rights are in regards to that, but it'll be very interesting to see where things go. Now, speaking of adaptations, this one is quite fascinating to me because we finally got a little bit of information about The Lord of the Rings. Yeah, the show coming to Amazon probably next year is when it's going to kick off, the 5-season prequel series that we've all been waiting for. And apparently the director who's going to helm the first couple episodes is J.A. Bayona, from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, is to helm the first Lord of the Rings episodes. Now, this is actually a solidly interesting deal because the dude is very good at doing horror and horror-like elements and taking the thrills of that. Because I do feel like the darker elements of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom worked really, really, really well. I felt he had a very solid visual eye for that movie, and I really enjoyed it. I might be wrong, I might be alone in that, but I really liked what he did, especially bringing out the horror elements in regards to these characters. And I mean, whatever they're going to do with this story, having it kind of be based in something dark and terrible, leading off this 5-season run, is going to be quite fascinating. Now, it says here that filmmaker J.A. Bayona has been set to both executive produce and direct the first 2 episodes of Amazon's high-profile and mega-budget The Lord of the Rings. Now, that mega-budget, we're talking like a lot of money. The current speculative rumor on this one is that it's $1 billion is what it's going to cost over the run of 5 years. And that's not just including the series. That's also the $250 million that Bezos paid to the Tolkien estate when he personally negotiated the deal for the rights to make this show. Yeah. $1 billion, man. $1 billion. Now, the series will be set in the Second Age, approximately 3 millennia before the events of the beginning of Lord of the Rings, with the first film's opening battle and the first defeat of Sauron marking the end of the Second Age. So essentially, it's leading up to the defeat of Sauron and then the hiding of the ring. So that would make a lot of sense. The Second Age began after the banishment of Morgoth, the Dark Lord before Sauron, and the new series could deal with the rise of Sauron, the creation of One Ring, and the emergence of ring wraiths, as well as giving us whatever else is back in that time. Giving us a more Elrond would be great. I mean, if they could, I mean, they're not going to bring in Hugo Weaving, but if they could bring in like Hugo Weaving and Cate Blanchett to reprise their roles. I know they're a lot older now than they were in 2001 when Lord of the Rings came out. Like, I get that when Fellowship dropped, like, fine, but we can do de-aging tactics now, and they look great. And I would love to see that. Now, Bayona says in a statement that Tolkien created one of the most extraordinary and inspiring stories of all time. And as a lifelong fan, it is an honor and a joy to join this amazing team. I can't wait to take audiences around the world to Middle-earth and have them discover the wonders of the Second Age with a never-before-seen story. And that is going to be something that ends up really, really, really either playing well with fans or failing with fans, because a lot of fans don't necessarily want to see a new story. What fans want to see is like another adaptation, but a more book-specific adaptation. And then never mind that, I mean, The Fellowship did a very good job in regards to the adaptations. The Two Towers and Return of the King, a lot of people were not very happy with the ending of Return of the King, specifically, when Aragorn jumped off the boat with the army of the dead instead of the villagers that ended up collecting along the way. It just ended up being this weirder thing, and they split a bunch of it up, and it was, I mean, there's a lot there, but they could do an adaptation after this, I think, of doing the actual, Fellowship, Two Towers, and then Return of the King, or maybe doing like, the 5 seasons of this show. Then they're going to do maybe 1 or 2 seasons of The Hobbit, right? Readapt that in the same vein, and then go into Fellowship. I mean, that's something that like they could do. They could easily do that, I think, because you don't spend $250 million to get the rights to the series and spend another $750 million on adapting it to 5 seasons of a prequel that no one's ever read before, being written by new people, right? And not have it eventually lead into a full-blown adaptation of the books. considering that they're adapting the Dark Tower series right now, they're adapting, this of course is Amazon, the Wheel of Time series, it just seems to make sense. It just seems to make sense. And by the time that they actually would get to maybe remaking the Lord of the Rings trilogy into an adaptation for TV, we're going to be talking, it's going to be over 20 plus years since those films came out. And that's going to be enough time for time to pass. And even by the time they get to maybe time to readapt The Hobbit, you know, you're again looking at 10 plus years or around that era. So it's really not that big of a deal. And I think fans, if this first series is good, would very much stick around for the next series and everything else. And I think a lot of people are going to be looking to Amazon as the prime, pun intended, place for adaptations here in the future. So finally today, we got this story right here because this is an interesting one. Disney has decided to cut the Toy Story 2 casting couch joke. Effectively, Toy Story 2 has been MeToo'd right now. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. It's Disney, right? It's kind of what is to be expected at this point. To be fair, that is very much what is to be expected at this point. So it says here, Disney has reportedly discreetly cut out the casting couch post-credit scene gag from Toy Story 2 in the most recent re-release of the film on Blu-ray and 4K to coincide with the launch of Toy Story 4. If you've seen those at the store, they look fantastic. Those steel books are great. They're still $35 though. It's a lot of money. The edit is for one of the jokes in the film's blooper reel, in which prospector character Stinky Pete is leering at and offering up 2 Barbie dolls a role in the film with the implicit return of sexual favors. Yeah, I mean, the implication is there. He doesn't outright say anything really about it. It's definitely like a creepy old man hitting on 2 twins. You know, it's definitely a play that adults are going to get. Kids aren't. But now that kids who saw Toy Story 2 when it came out, I think, what, 2000, 99, 2000, somewhere in there, are now old enough to have kids and recognize that joke. But I mean, go back to The Simpsons, look at all the adult humor in The Simpsons and tell me, you know, to start cutting those jokes loose. Now, casting couch allegations against powerful entertainment industry moguls made global headlines, sparked public discourse about sexual misconduct, and in part led to the rise of the Me Too movement. And this is pretty much why they did it. Pixar's own boss, John Lasseter, was at the center of a high-profile Me Too moment after being accused of misconduct by multiple employees and left the studio last year. And that is true. He did. Lasseter left the studio. Lasseter was basically ousted for, it wasn't, I'm not trying to minimize what they felt, but if I recall correctly, the accusations were he touched them, like he gave extra hugs. He kind of Joe Biden'd them is the best way to describe it. And I think a lot of people out there, you know, I think a lot of people out there probably just took a little bit of offense to that. And they, you know, he's gone. Now he's over at Skydance, and not Skydance. Is it Skydance Animation? You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter at all. There's clearly a lot going on with that. So those are the stories I pulled out for today. There's more I can get to. I mean, apparently a dude died watching Annabelle Come Home in the theater. Apparently there's a big thing going around right now where they're trying to say, like, in Spider-Man Far From Home, the Star Wars movies that Tom Holland grew up watching are not with the same actors that we know them as right now. It's not much else really. Those are the key stories I found. But one of the things I want to do on the show is really kind of get you guys involved. So if you've made it this far, and we're around 23 minutes or so into the podcast, if you've made it this far, I want to challenge you with something. I want to challenge you with saying something nice about a bad movie. And I think that's good for trying to maybe reestablish and redirect commentary around certain films. Every movie has bad things about it, and I think even bad movies have some good things about it. So why don't we try an experiment? Why don't we try posting something nice about a movie? And I wanted the first one, for like the 8 of you that have made it this far, the first one here, I want to challenge you, really want to challenge you to say something nice about The Last Jedi. Can you say something nice about The Last Jedi? Can you look at this Rian Johnson movie from almost a year and a half, from a little over a year and a half ago, and can you say something nice about the movie? I want you to look at the poster for a second, and I want you to say something real nice about the film. And I will tell you something nice that I think about the movie. I felt that it was had a great set design, and I love the design of Crate. I love the way it was directed. It was directed well. And that is the positive spin I am going to say about The Last Jedi. So I challenge you to say something nice about Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. And what we'll do tomorrow on the program is we'll take a look at some of those comments, as well as some other comments in a section that I'm going to call basically responding to some comments here. So if you guys want to leave those comments below, they can be featured on tomorrow's episode 100%. And so also just to kind of wrap it out again, if you enjoyed this and you want to see this every day, Monday to Friday, and you like it, is a little bit different than other people perhaps, come over to patreon.com/Matt Jarbo and help out. We get to a good amount of people coming on in. I can do this as a daily thing, and I think that'd be a lot of fun, and I hope you guys like it too. As always, there will be other commentary that comes out on this channel that's not just movie news specifically, and there might even be some I might even take some certain topics and then explore them a little bit deeper as to still kind of go a little bit deeper into some topics that I do think would work for a standalone, as well as maybe sometimes taking certain clips and making them standalones just because of the topic. Like, to be fair, the Ariel cast might be one that I take a look at here. So anyway, again, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Have yourself a fantastic day. Please leave a comment below, and well, peace out.